So the humanities in general in the United States and worldwide are suffering from maybe an existential crisis, a question of why we're here, what we're to do, what benefit we add, and what our products might be in terms of human product, citizens. So with that existential crisis, a program like the Mellon Scholars Program gives students an opportunity to think about those disciplines within new media for the problems that we face in society today.
I've been part of the program since its inception in 2008 when Hope College decided they wanted to bring the arts and humanities up to the level of the sciences at Hope College. And it was very exciting because Bill Pannepacker really was the sentinel on seeing the value of the digital media or digital approaches to ancient humanities topics. What is the nature of our world? Who are we? How do we learn?
Well, I was on a committee to help develop an honors program. I was a new associate professor. And so there's this new thing called digital humanities, and why don't we rewrite it as a digital humanities honors program? And that was the core idea that we started with. The digital liberal arts has three aspects. One is engaging the public, two is enhancing collaboration, and three is using new kinds of technological tools for scholarship so that we can ask new questions and get new answers.
The two seminars you take in your first year of the Mellon Scholars Program, you take alongside an interdisciplinary cohort of other students doing their own research projects. And through that experience, you get to see what is similar and different across academic fields and really work alongside other students who might be doing their research in different ways, but all working toward a similar goal of producing something new and original for yourself and to share with each other.
I think that at first I was really intimidated because it was in the very early stages of the program, only the first couple years. And I think that it was very much still in the testing stages of figuring out what exactly this program would look like. And so I really didn't know what I was getting into at that point. I had heard from previous Mellon scholars that it was a lot of work involved. So I was nervous, but I think that the program has really grown and really come into its own, and it's more exciting now than anything else.
The Mellon Scholars curriculum is really based on being flexible for the needs of each student. Because not only do we have students in all different disciplines, we have some students in the arts, some in the humanities, which have different needs. We have some students that want to go on to graduate school and stay in the academy, some students who want to have careers in performance, some students that are really career-minded and are looking for tools so that when they leave Hope College they'll be employable. And so we've designed the program after the initial seminars to allow students to tailor the curriculum to their needs.
Mellonizing a course means that we take on an additional project in addition to the coursework, usually having to do with our own interests but still tying in with the class.
So it really provides you with a deeper understanding of the course material, but also lets you personalize the course to a certain degree by really digging into an area of interest within that course.
One of the opportunities available to Mellon Scholars is to apply for a summer research fellowship. During my time in the program, I've applied for and received 2 summer research fellowships.
I was in an independent study and I designed my own study, collected all of the data for that study and did data analysis, compiled the results, and came out with a 20-page research paper that was entirely my own that I'll be presenting both for the sociology department and at the celebration of undergraduate research. The celebration of undergraduate research is one of the most significant and impressive things that you'll do as a Mellon Scholar, at least for me. There's so much energy And it's like academic fueled energy. It's all of us there wanting to share something we've all been working really hard on our own or with only a few other people. And all of that energy comes together, and it's a celebration of our hard work and our creative thoughts and our time spent at the library or in the lab.
It's a very joyful look into what is this research you've been doing this semester, how have you been growing and learning about this process. And I did a paper on solitude and what it meant for Rilke and what it meant for Heidegger and Nietzsche. And so for me, it was being able to present that and to see people actually be interested in what I'm interested in and focusing in on it with me it was an amazing experience.
I actually had one person come up once and was very interested in my project, and ended up bringing his family was there and ended up bringing them around as well, and we were able to connect and talk, and he felt like he'd actually been helped by the things I'd researched, which was fantastic. I mean, it's what I want from my research anyway, that it helps actual people.
The Mellon Scholars Program has allowed me to participate in so many different activities and research projects, and as well as conduct my own research. I never would have imagined myself going to Washington, D.C. to present my research to members of Congress, or traveling across the country to Washington State to present to other peers and other mentors who are interested in my scholarship. I wouldn't have imagined being able to write for grants and receive grants to do research over the summer for projects that I developed and designed. I didn't even know that was a possibility, and I can't imagine having been able to do that without the Mellon Scholars Program.
My first impressions of the Mellon Scholars Program centered around wishing that I'd been able to take it as an undergraduate. I think students can be intimidated by the technology because it's a lot to wrap your head around when you've been using something so unconsciously and you start to kind of scratch underneath the surface and learn how it works. You say, this is this whole world that's very complicated, and you kind of get sucked down that rabbit hole.
The humanities get sort of a stereotype of being dusty old books and professors in ivory towers, and that's definitely not going to be the future of the humanities.
I think the Mellon Scholars Program places an emphasis on the digital humanities in the liberal arts because we are constantly evolving in the world in terms of technological advancement and how people are integrating it into their daily lives. Technology is no longer something that a certain select number of people utilize. It's really being utilized by almost everyone.
I think the Mellon program places emphasis on use of digital technologies for the same reason that carpenters use power tools and not, same old planers and whatnot. Because we've got better tools nowadays to do what we do. It doesn't mean that in all cases they're the best tools or that they are helpful for every single, this particular tool is helpful for every single discipline across the board. But used wisely and used well, they're excellent, and there's no reason to not use them.
Two of the main ways I talk about using technologies with students is either as a way to do research or a way to talk about research. So either as a tool to enhance their research, to do some kind of method that wasn't possible before, or something that supplements a traditional research method that has existed for a long time for good reasons, it's effective. Or on the other hand, as a way to disseminate some kind of scholarly message. So this is attentiveness to medium, this is paying attention to digital rhetoric. How does somebody read something on a web page versus in a traditional scholarly monograph?
The many different kinds of projects that have been developed by students in this program are simply astonishing. The projects have been across the disciplines in the arts and humanities, and now increasingly engaging fields like communication and computer science, so that, again, we're slowly moving towards the Mellon Scholars Program being fully integrated with the mission of the college as a whole.
I think the digital aspect of Mellon is what makes it really unique and fitting for millennials. I think we've all grown up using technology, but often it doesn't hit the classroom as often as it should. So I think by pairing the research skills and foundations you learn in Mellon with learning new technologies and these skills of presenting and communicating it really gives Mellon students an edge.
This summer I was able to travel to Boston again, and I worked with the Boston Athenaeum to digitize the collection of Catherine Van Etten Lyford. She was a freelance journalist who wrote about Latin America primarily between 1940 and 1970. The Mellon Scholars Program is doing an excellent job of producing tech-savvy scholars that can go out into any field and contribute immediately.
Having been through the program, I understand there's so many more ways to get your research out there. Not just building a website either, creating videos, creating podcasts, connecting with other scholars and developing different projects, whether it's a timeline, if it's just a chart, but an interactive one, using GIFs, using all of these digital, techie kind of things. So using Twitter and Facebook and social media platforms as ways of presenting information as well. It's been just overwhelming and exciting to see what the potentials are for sharing scholarship. Digital Holland, Michigan was something that I've been hearing about since my sophomore year, and I thought, oh, that's a really cool idea. A website that's interactive, that gets information from the archives onto the screen for people around the community to view, as well as around the world if it's an actual website with an interactive map. We click on all these places and get to see the details, old pictures, video files, audio files. It was myself and 2 other Mellon scholars who initially started developing this project and bringing it to the first phase, a website on Google platforms, a Google Sites platform. And as we're entering into the next phase onto a WordPress platform, the website has grown more than I knew it possibly could. It's now the base of the sophomore seminar. We have so many students who are interested in contributing, community members, other scholars in the campus, retired scholars, professors, emeritus professors. There's an interest in this kind of project that I didn't know existed, and I'm really excited to have been a part of the beginning of it.
I'm sure you'll hear citations of the Digital Holland project, but I think that's really the best example of where this can lead, where you have students who are learning traditional historical methodology. They're in the archives, they're studying the history of Holland, they're understanding the buildings, they're understanding how those particular sites came about, but they're thinking about the delivery of that information. What does it mean to deliver this information on a new platform? Whether it be an app that a tourist might come to town and be able to download on their phone and have as they walk around the historical sites, or something like this. This new kind of marriage is the world we live in. So to bring those traditional skills to bear on the world we live in now, I think is really at the heart of this project.
Digital Holland has become a flagship project for the Mellon Scholars Program. With Digital Holland, Michigan, we are moving away from projects that are produced by individual scholars towards projects that are collaborative, interdisciplinary, cross-cohort, and likely to be sustained for a long period of time. Digital Holland is now part of the 2-semester Mellon Seminar. So students coming into the program work on one aspect or another of Digital Holland. And you can see a lot of that work on the program's website.
I think the mentoring really is the backbone of the Mellon Scholars Program. That the students would really be, in some ways, working with faculty, with the digital skills combined with the wisdom of someone who had been in a field for 20, 30, 40 years, and the exciting possibilities that could come by learning side by side.
The Mellon Scholars offers the opportunity for you not only to have those mentor relationships with faculty, but to also have a research agenda very early on and to develop a skill set as a researcher and as a digitally inflected researcher.
I've gotten to work incredibly closely with certain professors, even though I might be able to see them in and out of class more than I would at a larger institution. This has brought me into their office weekly. It's gotten me to have coffee with them regularly.
I'm really grateful for the mentors who are willing to work with us Mellon Scholars. I know we can be kind of a handful because we have all of these ideas of research that we want to get into, which is great enthusiasm to have, but maybe overwhelming to someone who says, oh, let's look at something that's a little more reasonable. What can we handle here? But not just the scholarship support, the emotional support, the support, treating me as a peer. I so appreciate that kind of environment and getting to grow as a scholar alongside someone who really cares about my well-being as a scholar, but also just as an individual. I'm really grateful for those people, and they know who they are.
The Mellon Scholars equip students for the needs of the 21st century in so many ways, in every kind of life path that they would want to take. It equips students to be independent thinkers and learners. It equips them to be self-starters, to learn on their own. It teaches students to work intimately with a mentor, learning from that person and giving back. It teaches them to work collaboratively with teams. It gives them the confidence to go out into the world, to talk to librarians and archivists and do interviews with people, so they have a social dimension. It teaches them how to write. It teaches them how to write in a traditional academic way. It teaches them digital writing. It teaches them to be creative thinkers and problem solvers. And those are skills that will hold them in good stead no matter what career path they take, whether it's graduate school, to become a professor, or to be an entrepreneur, or to work in all kinds of fields, both publicly and privately.
Well, we thought of this program as providing a variety of career paths for students in the arts and humanities, not just the traditional one of graduate school, though we support that very strongly, but also career paths that work at the intersection of technology and arts and humanities fields, so that students who want to stay in those fields because they were attracted to them can continue to do that, but in ways that enable them to earn a livelihood.
I'm not sure if I'm going to pursue graduate school or maybe law school, but for any academic endeavor I would pursue in the future, knowing how to work with other students collaboratively, how to do research, how to write in a scholarly way, all of those, and of course the digital technology as we move into the future and see what ways that will continue to influence academia. All of those I think are important skills that I have gained through the Mellon Scholars Program.
I will be applying to graduate school within the next year. I'll be taking a year off in between just to work, gain some more experience in costume design and in costume shops, and then I'll be applying to graduate school. So I haven't started the process quite yet, but I'm really hopeful that my experience as a Mellon Scholar will give my application a little bit of an extra boost, because it shows that I'm a scholar as well as a designer, and I know how to back up my costume design research with academic research, serious academic research. So I'm hopeful that that will help me out in the future.
I plan on going to law school, so there's going to be a lot of writing involved and a lot of research, and I think that the Mellon Scholars has taught me how to incorporate those things and how to deal with a larger than usual workload.
I'd say the greatest thing that I've accomplished in my time at the Mellon Scholars is really developing a love for my study. It was present before, but this has grown it exponentially. And it's become something that I could see myself doing for the long haul, you know, looking down the course of my life.
The Mellon Scholars Program has given me a lot of confidence, and it's pushed me beyond what I thought I was capable of achieving as an undergraduate student.
I think it's definitely helped me become more outgoing because of all of the presentations I've had to do as part of the class. It gives me something set to talk about, and it's just so much easier when you have a plan.
I started out at Hope as a psychology major. I was not interested in the humanities. I didn't really know where I was going. It wasn't until I had to take a fine arts requirement that I realized that I really did love writing in English. And so once I signed on to my major, it was kind of the now what question. What do I do with this now? I'm not really sure where to go. And Mellon really helped shape a focus for me.
I've grown so much as an individual through the Mellon Scholars Program. I came in as a timid scholar, not really sure what I wanted to do, not really sure if I was good enough to be in the program. And here I am at the close of the program, excited and proud of the accomplishments that I've had in terms of presenting at different conferences, but I'm also really proud of how I've grown as a scholar internally. I think that a lot of that comes from the support of my mentors who have encouraged me and told me, Allison, you are good enough. And finally hearing that and feeling that in my work, I feel more confident when I sit down to write a grant, to write an essay, to write a letter of intent, a personal statement. I feel more comfortable putting myself out there and trying. I may not be successful 100% of the time, which is a very normal thing, but being comfortable with knowing that that's normal, to not always get everything that you apply for, but to be grateful and excited about the opportunities that you're applying towards. And when you receive those, knowing that it comes out of the hard work, and that when you do receive something, you have earned it.
Well, the program is at full capacity now with 50 students. We achieved most of the objectives that we set out to achieve when the program was launched in 2010. There's still a lot more to do because this is an evolving field, and in many respects the students and the opportunities that they discover when they graduate teach us how this field needs to develop, how the program needs to change. And so this is not a program that will ever have a fixed identity, but one that will continue to evolve, to channel resources to our students to make them as successful as possible. I think the future of this program may well be not just interdisciplinarity, but cross-divisional engagement. For example, bringing students in the humanities and the sciences together, and the social sciences, trying to undertake projects that we can't do simply within the context of a single division. I think the future of the Mellon Scholars, though it will be built on arts and humanities, is going to be one that encompasses the whole mission of Hope College.
I think with the support of other faculty, willing to mentor, willing to have their students work in the Mellon Scholars in addition to majors, really supporting it, really everybody seeing this as being a real potential for our college. And so because of that, we're here 5 years later. It's not easy to start a new program. And it takes, can I say it takes a village? It takes a village really to bring something along like this in the way that it has. And without the support of administration, faculty, and support staff, and students and parents, it would not be here 5 years later, but it is.